There's always the rare chance. Will all of the co-hosts be on?
Will all of the co-hosts be on the whole time? No one knows.
Maybe not. I was on live this morning for some writing sprints, but I woke up so late, so I wasn't doing like writing sprints, but I was like, hey, I'm gonna be on later. Join me for that too. So hello everyone. Welcome to the Diversity is Lit Book Club, our monthly discussion. I am bad again and don't have the actual book because I listened to the audiobook for this, but the book that we will be talking about is Dauntless.
Oh, Heather's got it. Good.
Yay! Oh, good. Yay, Heather. Oh, good. I feel bad. And I just realized today because I was looking up how to pronounce her name, Elisa.
Elisa. Okay, because I would have gone with Elisa.
Me too. So okay. Yeah, good. That's why I was like,
so Elisa Bonnin.
I think it's
Bonnin.
Bonnin. I think it's Bonnin. I may be butchering that.
I would have said Elisa.
Yeah.
I know it.
Hi, Nia. Hello. Oh, Nia was here during my morning stream too.
Oh, wonderful.
Thanks for the support. You're so sweet. Hope you're doing well for round 2. But if you don't know, the Diversity is Lit Book Club, we read one book by a BIPOC author every month and discuss it on my channel in a monthly live stream like we're doing right now. So, and we will be talking spoilers. So if you don't care about that, feel free to watch the discussion with us and participate in answering the questions. And if you do care about spoilers, go ahead and read the book, then come back and watch our discussion, and you can still participate and chat with us because I always look at the comments. But I'll have everyone introduce ourselves. We're going to have one other co-host come on, and then another of our co-hosts is going to be going to try to pop into the comments. So, and Avion made it too. She was on this morning too.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Avion, I love your name. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Yay. So if you don't know me, my name is Holly. I'm a kidlit writer. I am querying a YA fantasy, and for NaNoWriMo, I'm plotting a middle grade contemporary fantasy, and also the host of the book club. And I will let my lovely co-hosts introduce themselves, who are also linked down below. So please follow them where they are.
Hi, I'm Heather Venkat. I am undergoing a little bit of a social media hiatus, so you probably won't see many posts if you do follow me, but I write both middle grade and YA fantasy and contemporary, currently editing a middle grade contemporary novel.
Yay, and she's my twin.
I was just going to say, and
that's right.
Know each other. For any of the new noobs here, we're happy to see you. And I just always like you guys to tell people that because I think it's lovely.
I know, I always forget. Oh, yeah.
Well, and you look enough alike that somebody might think you're sisters, but you might not assume necessarily twins.
That's true. Yes.
So I am Alicia Grumley, and I am happy to be here as always. It feels like it's been 9,000 years since I've seen you all, but that's not true. I was on at least the back half of the last month, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were on, and yeah, it was a month. It feels like it's been a while.
It feels like it's been a long time.
Maybe because it's not the first of the month or something.
Yeah, maybe. So I am good. One of our other co-hosts, here she is. I am a poet. I'm a nonfiction advocacy writer. I have some contemporary stuff I've been working on, contemporary like new adult-ish, and then some young adult fantasy. So I am excited for another November, although I don't know what I'm working on yet. And I may pop off somewhere in the middle-ish of this stream because I did not finish the book this month. So it'll depend. I have a question based on if you guys think there's possibility for a sequel, which will probably indicate to me if I'll hop off or not, if you think there's a sequel. So we can get into that after Vanessa introduces herself. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Oh, me?
Yeah. You're up.
Yeah, we just like I said, I'm like, let's start, because by the time we finish introductions, Vanessa's gonna pop on and then it'll be her turn. And look,
there it is.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
So I am Vanessa. I'm a YA fantasy, paranormal, and horror writer, and book publisher. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Diversity and sensitivity reader.
That too. Pretty much.
Jack of all trades. Sorry.
And then, did we already start with our overall feedback?
No, we didn't do that yet. Yeah, just the intros. Yeah, so you made it. And I did give the spoiler disclaimer, but I will also give our content warnings. In Dauntless, there is talk of, so we may speak about this in our review. There is murder, death, violence, animal cruelty, hunting and culling, animal death, gore, grief, death of a parent, physical abuse, emotional abuse, suicidal thoughts, classism, colonization, mental illness, fire, poverty, homelessness, starvation, and mind control. just a couple content
heavy, like a couple months ago did with what was Aster's story? What was that story?
Yeah, unkindness of ghosts.
Yes, like, but I feel like it was a totally different tone than that. Maybe the ladies will disagree with me. So heavy content warnings, a lot of heavy content warnings, but if you're basing it on what we said a couple months ago with like, these were heavy content warnings, I felt like this was a different tone. Now, granted, I have not finished the book, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, for
No,
sure.
I think you're
you're
right.
Okay.
Teresa, she is our other co-host. Yay! She'll be in the comments off and on. Thank you for still trying to make it. I appreciate it and looking forward to your comments.
Yes,
Avion said lots of triggers there. Yeah. I'm always glad, like, when I find more. If I don't find enough, I feel like I'm missing something.
Right.
Unless it's a middle grade and there's like a couple, but I'm just like, did I get them all? Like, and sometimes we do find some that weren't listed.
Right. Which is always important. You know, I think that's something that's good that we talk about, and it's worth it to bring up. Or if it's something that like maybe we find it because we are sensitive to those topics. Like one of us as the co-hosts are sensitive. We will throw it in too. So I feel like that's nice. So if you as readers ever see any in the middle of conversation that we didn't mention, please feel free to mention them in the comments.
Yes. So our first question is, what are your general overall thoughts on the book? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What would you rate it star-wise?
Can I ask if you guys think there's going to be a sequel? Can I ask that now? Do you think, is it ended enough that there's opening for a sequel?
I thought there might have been at first, but then there's an epilogue, and when I read the epilogue, I was like, maybe not.
Okay.
So.
It's hard to tell. It's like the possibility is there if, but it's also could stand alone.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So far, based on, what I've read so far, I'm about halfway, a little under halfway through. I like it so far. I feel like, this is interesting to me. I like the style of writing. I'm interested in the pacing. I feel like I don't have any complaints in terms of any of that. It might have started a little slow for me, but by probably about page 20-ish, and I don't know exactly because I borrowed it e-reader through my library. So it's always hard for me to gauge that. But I feel like somewhere around that, first 20, 25 page mark, I was like, oh, okay, this is getting good. Like the action scene, I felt like was really what kind of drew me in. I felt like the action scenes so far that I've seen, any of the battles, any of the beast chase, all of those things are good and enough to keep the pace going. And I'm interested in finishing the story. So, what about you ladies? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Vanessa, hit me with the opposing side. You disagree everything I just said.
Well, it's always interesting to hear your thoughts on it. It did start off slow for me as well.
Okay.
And it took me a lot longer than you to get to a point where I was interested in
Okay.
it. I almost thought I would not I wouldn't finish this in time for our discussion because I literally started this at 5:30 yesterday afternoon.
Okay. Okay.
Crazy. That's amazing.
30, and it took me a bit over 100 pages to really get into it.
Oh, okay.
But once we meet Sana and we have those interactions with Sana, then I was like, oh, this is getting good. And
Okay.
then it just flew through the rest of the
Okay.
So, yeah, I enjoyed it. It took me a bit to find the spot that I liked, where it got interesting to me. So at first I was, the writing is good and everything. So at first I was thinking it would sit at around a 3.5, but then when I hit the part where we get Sana introduced and things are starting to happen, and I'm like, oh, this is getting so much better. And we start learning more about the two different types of humans in the world. And we learn how the backstory of what happened with them in the groups. Like, oh, this is really interesting now.
Okay.
So I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars.
That's pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah, because once I got to that point, from there up until the end, I was really enjoying it. So, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So for all of the people here who haven't ever joined us before, or maybe you've only joined us a couple of times before, typically Vanessa and I have kind of almost diametrically opposing opinions on if we like a story or if we don't. And the reasons that one of us likes it is often the reason the other one didn't. But it's always really interesting, at least to me, and I hope to our audience, to kind of see like, okay, here's our range. And then once in a while, we'll find some where we're kind of more, in the middle, like, yeah, like we're similarly thinking about some of them. And some of that I think has to do with the genres that we read and write in predominantly in our lives outside of book club. And some of it, I think, has to do with our different experiences in life. And so it's just always a really interesting thing to see if Vanessa and I are going to agree or not about the book. But it's never, and I hope, Vanessa, that you still feel this way. It's never rude or disrespectful. And we try very hard to keep the tone respectful here. And, we are friends in real life. We love each other. We don't want any more thing for anybody, so it's always just a good, healthy discussion. So I'm just knowing that some of our new people might not fully understand this dynamic between us. So I am always at least interested in what Vanessa has to say, particularly because I know it's more likely than not going to be opposite of what I thought.
I think that's a good point to make, because like we all might have different opinions where someone loves it and someone doesn't, and there's sometimes where we read a book and we all don't like it.
Right.
So Teresa, and it's like, don't feel bad. I did. I've had to DNF some books, so
Right.
Teresa said, I feel bad because I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I couldn't connect with the characters or the settings. This could be because of the other things I had going on.
Right.
I plan to reread this one, but so far it's 3 stars for me. Now, did you finish the book? Because you
Teresa?
said so far, but yeah, but I mean, it sounds like you did, but like right now it's 3, but you might reread it and it might be different. I kind of feel like I'm in the same boat as you, just for the fact that I think I really shouldn't have listened to the audiobook. I think I should have read the book. And it's weird because like with Witchlings, I started reading it and I switched to the audiobook and just loved it and gave it 5 stars. But this, I feel like maybe because there were the 3 different points of view Oh, good. Teresa did finish it. Okay. Maybe because it was the 3 different points of view that confused me a little bit in the story, where I wasn't able to connect to each one individually as much as I wanted to. And so I didn't rate it when I finished it, but I did end up giving it 4 stars. I feel like I want to reread this, but the physical book, because the parts that like I really felt like I was able to pay attention and really like get into it, I enjoyed. So like I loved the fight scenes, the beasts, the world building was so strong. And so I really feel like that was done well. And then I love the dynamics between Sari and Sana. Like I felt like that was really well done, and it wasn't just like this romance thrown in, but I kind of felt like it was really weaved into the story. But like there was something that I couldn't quite put my finger on that was just not making me connect as much. And I think maybe it was because I was listening to the audiobook. Okay, T also listened to the audiobook, bought a copy to reread. So we're going to have to reread both An Unkindness of Ghosts and Dauntless, because
I don't think I'm going to reread An Unkindness of Ghosts. Well, you guys let me know how it goes for you. And that is nothing against that. It's just I have too many books personally that I am invested in reading. So if I'm going to reread, I have to love the story, and that is a me thing. So
it would be a first time read for me, by the way. So,
what about you, Heather? Did you enjoy it? Where are you at with your rating?
Okay, it's kind of interesting because I did read the physical book.
Sorry.
I do like to listen to the audiobooks because I don't have as much time to read. But this one, I read the physical book, and interestingly, I agreed with a lot of the same points that you guys are making about the pacing, the points of view. I felt like with the points of view, I don't know if the voice was supposed to be like starkly different, but it wasn't. So the writing and was the same throughout, which maybe is partially because of that, the way she wrote it in third person. But to me, I really had to pay attention because I'm like, oh, okay, this is Sana, not Sari. Oh, okay, now Ishai is talking, but it wasn't super obvious. Like it was still kind of subtle, like. And maybe she meant to do it that way so that it was sort of a little bit less jarring of a change, and that she could still show, their sides of things. But that kind of threw me off. I might have actually preferred a little bit more of a stark difference. But so I started this kind of late, and I was going through it very slowly, and I did end up finishing it this morning. So I haven't rated it
Both
yet.
You guys got it fresh.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not the only book that I've finished the morning of the discussion. I typically don't do that, but it's not the only one. I can't remember which other ones I have done. But I was kind of trying to think. I'm like, okay, is it because was I just not like super connected to the characters? I agree with you guys about the fight scenes. I loved those. The action and the world building were super strong. So part of me is leaning towards a 3 right now. But I still need to kind of mull it over a little bit longer in terms of what my rating is going to be. And this is I forgot now how to say her name, but it is a debut novel.
Yeah.
Elisa. Yeah. It is a debut novel. And so there is that potential that if she comes out with another book, I would want to read it and see, I still think the writing is strong. It may just be how the characters are portrayed, or I can't quite put my finger on it in that terms, but I did like it. I did.
Okay.
I was going to say, for Holly and Teresa who listened to the audiobook, because I had the audiobook as well, along with the physical book, I will say I agree. I did not really like the audio, but I think that's like the way some of the characters' voices are in the audio is not matching up with what I imagine the characters. So we would have these characters that are like strong and tough and all of this, and then the character voice that they did for it was like this high pitched kind of whiny, almost like, you know, a middle grade or young teenage whiny type of voice that I'm just like, it kind of took me out of it. So I get why the audiobook didn't really work.
Yeah, and that was what, like, when I switched from the physical to the audiobook for Witchlings, it was because I was having a really hard time getting into like the kids' voices, and I felt like 7, like I was like, gosh, they're so young, like I felt the disconnect. But then when I listened to the audiobook, then it was like, oh, this narrator sounds young, and now I'm connecting to the voice of 7 and all of that. So like maybe that was why, like the voice, and maybe with Heather saying that everything sound, you know, they didn't really have as distinct character voices. So all of that together. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one. And that it wasn't just me, but now I do want to read the actual physical book. And I was thinking of doing that. But I like ran out of time, and so
I'll let you borrow mine.
Oh, good. Okay, thanks. But I wanted to jump to the comments really quick because Avion said, and I love that you know your Enneagram and wing. Like you're our spirit animal. Oh my gosh. Because we know ours. I'm a 2 wing 1.
I was gonna say, yeah, we all love our Enneagram, and we'll tell you about them in a minute.
So Avion says, I'm an Enneagram type 4 wing 5 and an HSP highly sensitive person. So I have to be careful with what books and TV shows, movies I indulge in, because heavy topics tend to linger more than the average person. Ooh, I really like that you brought that up. And that's why I put the content warnings. Links down below, like we vote on the book on Goodreads. So that's where our group is. We would love to have you.
Please come play.
But I always put the content warnings in the comments of the poll because, you know, some things are triggering for people. So, you know, like Alicia can't deal with child abuse. And she asks us sometimes, like, is this just mentioned or is it on the page? Like, and
because I'm a full-time nanny, because I actively work with children under the age of 10, Monday through Friday, many hours of the day. So, you know,
so it's like different people have those, different triggers, and I can see that for you. And I'm an empath, so I'm like, no, I can't.
Well, that's why I don't want to linger and reread The Unkindness of Ghosts, because it felt so heavy reading it the first time for me.
That's true.
Like I need to put my protection in place. And I think it was a valid story, and I think it was necessary. And I think we really had a great conversation on that, even though it was very heavy.
Right.
And we were all worried. We're like, oh man, are we going to not like this? Like, are we going to not have a good conversation because we didn't like the story as much? But I don't necessarily think it was meant to be liked either. Right. Like that was no.
I know what you mean.
Like we want it to be a good read, which it was, but it's not like, you're not supposed to like about all the abuse you hear about it. Right. Exactly. So Avion, we totally get that. And I am an 8 wing 7 for my Enneagram, which probably doesn't surprise you if you've watched me for 10 seconds. So.
And I said 2 wing 1. Do you guys know?
9 wing 1.
I'm 3 wing 2.
And then Teresa's, I think, an 8 wing 9.
Oh, nice.
She might be a wing 7. T, if you know your wing, let us know. She might not have a prominent wing either, but let us know, Teresa, in the comments.
And Nia, if you know your wing.
Yes.
She said that's the same with my book club. I love hearing the differences in opinions, which I haven't been able to make one, but I want to. So Nia does scripting the book, correct me if I'm wrong, where they discuss the the book and like the TV version or the movie version.
Oh,
so they've done like Bridgerton and things like that. Yeah. That's so super interesting and cool.
Yeah. It's kind of reminds me of some of the things we do where like sometimes we'll pop over to Vanessa's channel and talk about like the movies or the TV shows or something that we watch from a diversity perspective.
Right.
Like we did with Turning Red, or we had another one we were going to talk about, I thought, but I don't know, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I'm here.
That's what I thought the Whitey voice to be out of the story.
That's Teresa's 8 playing into this. I need you to know, because I would have the same problem.
Hi, Cool Gamer. Hello. Oh my gosh. Okay, you're just the coolest person ever, because I am an INFJ.
So glad
I'm so happy to meet you today. I'm so glad I went live this morning.
That's awesome.
Yay. Okay, so
all of this like roundabout stuff.
Hold on, I'm in the comments. Okay, so we can talk about things that we liked, things we didn't like, as far as like favorite characters we hated, things in the plot, hopefully not too spoilery.
And if you guys want to get into the spoilers, just let me know and I'll pop off, because I don't want you guys to not have a good discussion, because you don't want to spoil things for me. The ladies are always really good. If one of us hasn't finished something, so Teresa is an 8-wing then.
Yeah,
okay.
you knew it.
But the ladies are always really good if one of us hasn't finished or hasn't finished enough, or, and it's me. It's usually me. If it's one of us, it's usually me. But they're very good about not giving away spoilers. So if you guys have some that you really want to talk about, just let me know and I'll bye. But I'm happy to be here as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, there were a couple things I wanted to bring up. One was just first off with the world building. I thought the armor piece was really cool.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Like that kind of magic. It's not really a system, but I guess it is a system.
Yeah.
And like the, bond with the beasts, like, she definitely built up the, because I'm like, when's it gonna happen? Like, when's it gonna happen? And, but I thought that was really creative, and how she also built in there, like, more than just this is a thing, but like, okay, she has gloves. Where did she get the gloves? And like slowly revealing things. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, because with the Itham,
yeah, her childhood friend.
Yeah, her childhood friend. I didn't know how to pronounce the name, but when I first let's see, this was like the second thing I wrote. Like, who is Itham? Like, and then I was like, please let this not be like dragged out and then like revealed what actually happened at the very end, because I was like, but she, reveals like the backstory to that like much sooner. And I was like glad for that, because otherwise I think it would have been way too dragged out.
And I'm right about at that point. She's like just revealed his backstory, if that gives anybody else context for where I'm at.
I mean, and that wasn't like, I mean, it is an important part, but like for me, I was more excited the fact that she did it. It wasn't even at the halfway point. It was like,
no, it was before
75 or something like that. And I was like,
yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. I think people are smart knowing that like you get someone angry when you like, hold the bait over them for too long, it's like
timing was good for several things in the book.
Yeah. Now I'm torn because I kind of want spoilers, but I don't want Alicia to go. Aww.
I appreciate that, but I will not take offense, because it was my own fault. And if you haven't read it, Avian, and like maybe you would become a reader of it if you want the spoilers, or maybe you would check it out or anything. And we get on together and we talk all the time, so it is not not offensive to me at all. And I'm telling the truth, because once again, I mean what I say and I say what I mean. 8, there it is. So, but yeah, maybe just like 5 more minutes or so, maybe 5 or 10 more minutes, and then I'll pop off. and then you guys can spoiler talk the rest of it. I know, but I will come back. I promise. We'll have another discussion, or we'll be on in November. We'll be on for Preptober. Avion, one of the other ways Holly and I know each other is we are in a mastermind group together, and we go live a couple times a year usually to talk about that, what that looks like for us, and also like just if we want to have some other people on the channel or whatnot. So there's plenty of ways we can stay in contact, and I would love to also stay in contact with you in any way, shape, or form. So that is great to meet new friends here. But yeah, I'll stay on for another 5-10 minutes, and then you guys should talk spoilers. So Vanessa, what about you with some of that armor stuff or any other parts that you like that are not super spoily?
Yeah, I really liked just the backstory of the two groups and how that was done, and like how, you know, it was like one group saw it was the same event, but one group told it this way, the other group told it this way. I was like, okay, who is actually right, or who has the accurate history or whatever. Of course, I tend to believe the
oppressed.
Yeah.
I mean, same.
Yeah. I believed Sana's group that she's from. Inshai is how you say it, I think. So I just thought it was interesting seeing those two different history and learning those two different history. And then also her, I won't say too much spoilery stuff, but just Siri finding out about her dad and what actually happened.
Okay, so another point you might come to know about me, Avion, is that I am often the guesser of things. So I have an inkling that something is weird with her dad at this point of the story, right? Like, I'm like, oh, well, because I've also, the quote has already come up, and one of you may or may not remember this, like when Sana was talking to her master, I can't remember what his name is, Sirenin? Yeah. He said she has our eyes, and I was like, oh, ding 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 ding. And I also knew Sana must be connected to the beast somehow before she even revealed that. So I was like, I am just like notorious in this group for being like the guesser. I'm like, oh yeah, I guessed that 100 pages before it was revealed. Like, it shouldn't be as much of a surprise when I guess things anymore as it is, but I'm always guessing. So.
Yeah, and I'm the one who never guesses things. I'm like, what? I had no idea. Just like that. I was like,
I think the phrase sometimes that she says to me is, oh, of course you guessed that.
I usually like Alicia, where I guess a lot of stuff as well.
You do too, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I did a lot of this I did see coming.
Okay. So that's interesting to talk about then. Yeah, that it was maybe that's what all that thing is that you guys can't pinpoint. Maybe it felt almost too predictable in a way. Not that it was, but maybe it was like, oh, it's like we because we're all writers, we all really like that element of surprise. At least I know I like being surprised when I'm reading something that, like, because as I'm reading it, I'm like, well, there's 4 or 5 different ways this can go. So if it goes a 6th way that I didn't account for, that's always really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I'm looking at my notes and I was like, is Sana like leading the beasts? And I think I guessed that I wrote that down on page 85.
Teresa also guesses a lot of times too. And it might be because they are mystery. You guys write mystery, don't you, Vanessa? You and Teresa both? Teresa does.
Teresa does. I do like horror and paranormal, but I do read a lot of mystery.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Heather, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just thought, but yeah, so like sometimes, we can guess those things, but I think that element of surprise for us as writers is, it's like gold, right? It's that nugget of like, ooh, Like, I love to be a reader because I love being surprised. And I still have books where, after I started taking myself seriously as a writer, that I read, and I have one very particularly that I remember that I was like, oh, it's been so long since I've been surprised as a reader. And I like that, because we are prolific readers. We're always reading other things, in or out of our genres and, all of this stuff, which I think, once again, makes for really good discussions here in our group, because we just have this wide kind of net of experiences and knowledge.
Yeah, we kind of we learn from the books too. So that's why I like that we read in different genres and age categories, and because we can pick from each of them and find something to make ourselves stronger too. Oh, I liked this. Yeah, I want to do that. I don't like this. I'm not going to do that. So
right.
And you can see how they go about planting subtle clues.
Yes.
And see, okay, do I want to do it this way or do I want to do it this way? There's one thing I was thinking about when I was reading this and listening to it. There was a part where when we first meet Sana, and she describes how Sana looks at Eshai, and I'm like, no, she doesn't like them.
There's something there. Yep, exactly. I agree, 100%, Vanessa.
Spy on them.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was an interesting, and this is, I think, something that Elisa did well.
Yeah.
Was that character perception of the other characters. Like, she gave Siri enough things that she was noticing that were interesting for us as readers to pick up on. Like, her perspective was interesting, and I thought she did really well with that character development of saying, okay, this is, something interesting. And it's oh yeah, if you're in a relationship with somebody that you're kind of flirting with or interested in, and those are the things you're looking for, where they're almost red flags, but they're not red flags, right? But so I thought she did well with the character development, even though I agree that at some points the next section of the different POVs took me a couple sentences to realize, oh, we flipped back to another POV. So good character development, even though there wasn't exactly always super distinct voices for all of the characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Teresa says, I agree. I love to be surprised when reading books, especially thrillers and mysteries.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The thing that I had learned was that if you can have a certain amount of plot points and you write down, okay, this is what the reader would think would happen. And that's what would actually happen. But for this plot point, this is what the reader thinks will happen. And so then instead, this is what's actually going to happen.
Oh,
they wouldn't think about. And so you do a couple of those of that they wouldn't think would happen.
Okay. I like that.
So.
Good tip.
Oh, no worries, Nia.
Okay, so you're 8-wing-9.
Threw it all in there. Scripting the book, ISFJ, 8-wing-9. Love it.
Nice. Yes. It's great to meet another female 8. I always love it because we are a little bit of a rare breed. The female 8s are a little rare. So hi. I know, I was excited when
no, you're fine. Kind of just an overall thing is that I really liked the theme of the book, where it's called Dauntless, and there's so many instances where each of the characters have to show courage, and that means something different to them. So I like that she kind of weaves that in, and it again wasn't something that she beat you over the head with. That was the obvious this is the lesson to be learned, but it was more natural.
Yeah. So even as we're talking this Enneagram stuff, sometimes we'll talk oh yeah, this character is clearly one of our types, right? And we have, Holly and I have a mutual friend that we know there's a character in her story that is my type. So I get it. I always get her motivations. So, but I had a little bit of a hard time like, because maybe there's so many points of view, like assigning all of the, you know, types to everybody in the story. But it is always interesting to see those things and how they can become realistic, because I agree, Holly, there's definitely, it was consistent. It was a consistent upward, like, okay, here's a chance to be courageous for this character. Here's another chance to be courageous for this character. What is this character going to choose? And we get to see those characters, especially Siri, because it's her story mostly, get to make those decisions. You know, like in, like, so slight spoiler, and then I'll leave. Like, there's a point where she sets one of the towers on fire because she doesn't want to die, right? And you see her, she's being attacked by beasts. You see her think like, okay, this is it. This is going to be my grave. I'm going to die here. And then she's like, but wait, nobody will know what I saw. Nobody will know. And I'm sure they'll get into it a little bit after I leave here in a second. But the fact of, like, she thought, I can't die here because I have to let somebody else know what I saw. Even if they don't believe me, I have to try. So she starts, like, looking around, and she's like, okay, what are my resources? What are my resources? And her name means, like, little flame. And so she's like, okay, like, we'll get there. Like, all right, I've got flint. I'm going to start a fire. Like, this isn't going to be good. She starts a fire and jumps out the window. Guys.
Yeah, she's the definition of Dauntless.
Right. So she's like in like Flynn. And I thought that was just really cool too. Like, I agree, Holly, that you see different definitions of courage throughout the story. And that's something that Elisa did really well, I think.
Yeah.
I love Dauntless. So yesterday morning, I was flipping through the channels on TV, and I saw it was giving the first Divergent movie cut part of it towards the end, and just being back in the Divergent world and seeing the Dauntless faction. It just, then when I read the book, I'm just like, this is so much what Dauntless would do.
Right. Like, I also felt like some similar things. And is it Nia that is scripting the page?
Scripting the book, yeah.
That might be a really interesting one to look at between, like, Divergent, if you guys haven't already, and the movies, or like comparing Divergent, Dauntless kind of things, because I had some similar, like, influenced vibes, Vanessa. Like, oh, yeah, this feels a little influenced by that, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts that you want to hear from me? I mean, I know you all want all of my thoughts all the time, but any other questions you want my opinion on before I hop off, so you can talk spoilers?
Avion just said it's that Siri sounds like an 8, or Sari, or whatever.
Oh yeah, she might be. I was gonna say, you guys will have to let me know what you think, and I'll have to see at the end if I'm also in agreement with that. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say that she could. Yeah, like, the protectiveness part of it, where it's not so much the choice, the conscious choice, but it's like, this is what I have to do. I have to protect my people. I have to protect these people. Like, and that's high 8 to me. So yeah, I'd be interested in hearing if anybody else had any other thoughts, though. And after I finish up, I'll come back through and add any more comments that I have to the comments for you guys, like, not just my co-host, but anybody else. So
I was gonna say, I think issue sounds more like an 8 to me.
A shy,
yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I could see that too. Yeah, because she's the unbroken, right?
She like really knows herself and is
they can't all be 8s. Right? I just know we don't always play well as, like, followers.
I was thinking of a shy because one, that protectiveness there, wanting to protect her soldiers, or the Valiants, is that? But wanting to protect them and everything, and then the way she was with Rhea, you know, how they had that kind of conflict where she wanted Rhea to go. Rhea was saying she wanted her to go somewhere to get help, mental stuff, and Rhea's like, but, you know, I'm fine, I don't need that. So I kind of thought issue was more,
Maybe right.
yeah.
Okay. That's a good thought. I'll have to think through that. I also will make comments when I pop back on after I finish about the armor and how it matches the personality or how it matches your true heart. Like, I thought that was just like great detail. Like, because you get to see just these different armors, and like the fact that people are identified by their armor was real interesting to me. And as a poet who likes to write poems dealing with the motif of armor, it's I'm like thinking always. It's really so. All right, ladies, thanks for everything as always. I'm gonna hop off so that you guys can talk spoilers, and I will leave comments. And it was so great to meet our new people. Thank you for joining. I love you. Goodbye.
Bye, Leash.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh,
So
so sad. Here, I'll switch so then I can put my little monthly discussion part up. Here we go. So small and stuff.
Like, I didn't quite organize my notes as well as I usually do, but I did have a lot of quotes.
Right.
I don't know if we're ready to like kind of talk about those or.
Well, before we go to quotes, I do want to talk about Siri bonding with I forget how to pronounce it.
Ashai.
Kyra?
Oh no, Karai. Okay, that was confusing though. There were a lot of. I wrote it down. There was a Rukai, an Ishai, Asai, Karai,
No, her beast that she bonded with. I don't.
Karai, yeah.
Name Karai, but her yeah. So I wanted to talk about Siri bonding with Karai in that moment, because I was just like, I don't know. I just got super excited when that moment happened. And again, like I said, that was towards the end, so I flew through the end of the book. But just seeing them bond, I don't know, I really like that. And then also finding out that she killed her dad's beast, I was like, what? That I did not see coming. I was like, oh,
Yup.
That
was one of the ones that's like, nope, they're not going to guess that.
I did not guess that. I was like, wow.
Well, so with the bonding of the beasts, like, I didn't know what to expect, because I thought when they had Sana's kind of point of view, it was just like, we didn't get to see that direct interaction with her and the beast. But then when Sari bonded with her beast, it's like, oh, they actually can like hear the thoughts of, they can kind of like communicate with each other, which wasn't like, I didn't know exactly how that was going to look, what that was going to look like. I thought that was really cool though.
Oh yeah. I was glad that they added that in, because like, I have a story where like a human and like bonds with an animal, like a work in progress that I started, and like, so I love that interaction. So I was glad that we got to see that, to kind of humanize them a little bit. They're not just like monsters and beasts in the forest, but like there's that like relationship building too.
And also just, I like how, she kind of pointed out when, what was that? When Siri is, I think she's talking to Sana, and they are like discussing like the different groups and stuff. And Sana's like, well, Siri starts saying, the beast kills them, so that's why they do it. But and then Sana's like, I forget exactly how the scene was, but it was like, you guys killed them, you killed the beast and wear the armor. And it was like that, like just the difference in how they viewed the situation, where like because Siri grew up with the N group. Is it the N? No, it's the Ishai group, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Ishai group is the one that doesn't have the power, and the N group is the one that has the power, I believe. So, and Siri, since her dad was an N, so she's an N as well, but she grew up with the Ishai, and so she grew up kind of thinking the way they think, and learning that the beasts were hunting them. That's part of the history that she learned. That's the whole reason they started taking the beast and wearing them as armor, is because the beast was hunting them first, and then it turned out like no, it was started by a shy that wanted the power from the beast to use that power for themselves, because they were jealous of the end. And just like there was something else I was going to say, but I forget where I was going with that.
Oh no.
I don't know. I just the difference in how they viewed the situation, and then also how they viewed death and everything. Because I don't remember where it was, but there was a part where they were talking about death, and like how the and Shy would like bury their dad, and like they didn't want to just like leave him out there like that, and like wanted to honor them. And then the end, like Sana was saying, oh, they just leave them there for the beast to get. And like it's kind of like that bond with the beast is like when so I guess when one of them dies and the beast gets them. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but just that difference in views, where Siri was like surprised and kind of almost horrified at the thought that they would just leave people for the beast to have, and Sana thought it was just this normal, respectful thing, like the beasts protect us and take care of us, and we in turn take care of them even after our deaths. And just seeing the difference in that, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, she really like kind of gave them their own like kind of like cultures within the one and traditions to really like separate them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to put out, but I can't remember where I was going with
that. Avian said, I love beast bonding moments, as it doesn't portray animals as something to be feared or treated like a slave. And T said she agrees. It can bring a fascinating element to a story. And she was shocked about her killing her dad's beast too. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not see.
One of the things that I was happy about was about Shy like opening herself up to love and being with Lavit at the end. I was really happy that worked out, because like, yeah, that was kind of another part of the like being courageous and kind of shedding that like leadership or 8 skin or whatever she has. So
It's too
I
far.
was glad that she got her win.
That's a good point. Yeah, I liked that too. I mean, and there was obviously more than one romance happening, but you know, as especially as like kind of like a leader, commander, like she was still humble enough. Like she wasn't like, I can get anyone I want. Like I'm, you know, the top dog, you know. She was just always like on the ground working with the Valiants and, you know, trying her hardest to, and also like acknowledging them. Like when Sari saved her life, she was like, thank you. Like, yeah, I want you to come along. Like you saved me. Like I need
you.
And so I'm glad that she had that happiness brought onto her too.
Yay. Do we want to do quotes?
Yeah.
I only have one quote really that I marked down. There were some good ones, but I only marked down one of them while I was reading. But it's let me see. On page 66. So kind of, and it's kind of a long one. So starting at the top, it says, this is Rhea, I think, speaking. And she says, they mark us up for everything, she said. When we're born, when we come of age, when we marry, when we have kids, when we create something or win a fight or get acknowledged by the elders, we're marked up for all our gains, but no one ever marks us for our losses. And those are the ones that sting the most. And then skipping down a bit, she says, maybe this armor is my way of marking my losses, because Term was here, damn it, and my brother was here, and I'm not going to close my eyes and pretend they didn't exist. She held up the flint in her hand, studying it carefully. Life's like fires sometimes spout. You can't just ignore the burned parts of you. And I really like that part. Like, you know, you can't just ignore the burned parts of you, because we all have experiences that are positive and negative, and a lot of times we all also carry trauma, I feel like, and it's like kind of going to that kind of saying we can't just ignore the trauma and pretend like it didn't happen or doesn't exist. So I like that she said that there.
It's true.
I love that.
Very true. Did you have any quotes, Hall?
I just had the one that Sari says, we can be the people from our stories. We can save them, Sana. Help me. And so I liked that. It's like, yeah, we can be the people. Like, we don't have to let someone else do it.
There was one that stood out to me that kind of reminded me of a quote from A Darker Shade of Magic series, or the Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. That's like, I'd rather die on an adventure than live standing still. So this one was says, and what would you rather live with? Would you rather live with the knowledge that you tried and failed, or the knowledge that you might have been able to do something but you were too afraid to try at all? And that kind of just
so good,
sums up the book itself. Like, yeah, we might fail, but we're not going to have any regrets because we tried.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, since I listened to the audiobook, I didn't like write down any quotes or anything. So
Yeah, it's hard to like write down quotes when you
yeah.
the audiobook. I think I had another one on page. Oh yeah, it's kind of similar to that, all the way at the end on page 317, with Sari and Sana. She says, "I believe in you because I've seen how hard you try. You didn't have to come save us back at the temple, but you did. You didn't have to send Asai to follow Sarayan, but you did. You made mistakes, Sana, but I understand." You know, so it's just like, yeah, I kind of liked that, how that was like woven throughout the whole book.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did you have one, Vanessa?
No, not another quote. But I was thinking, one thing I forgot about to mention. I really also like the part where we see Siri transform, when that ending where like her weapon, like she's fighting Siren and it starts breaking down, but all of a sudden it starts changing and transforming, and she starts to transform, and we're kind of seeing it almost from Sana's point of view, seeing this transformation. And it goes back to what Alicia was saying earlier about how the armor and stuff um, reflects their heart and how their heart is. And I think that transformation was just like a powerful, like, kind of showing that almost, I feel like it was almost like a visual symbol of Siri's character arc, of how she changed in the story, and how the completion of her character arc, and how she has been courageous and is willing to um, you know fight and protect those that she cares about, and how it just completely changes her. I thought that was a cool, like, visual representation of the changes her character goes through.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's really cool. Yeah, they did all have really strong arcs too. So
they did.
I did find the quote about Sari, her name meaning little fire, on Elisa's Instagram. So it's Sari looked down at her hand at the name mark that stood out in sharp relief over her skin. Sari, little fire. She felt something inside her twist uncomfortably, her mind taking her back to that time in the forest with Itham. Her mother must have known when she named her that how much of the world Sari would burn. That was cool. Like, I was like, that's a great quote to
The only thing I kind of wish we knew more about her mom as well. Like, we learned a bit more about her dad.
So hopefully more in a sequel.
Well, and that's another thing to bring up is like, I was like, I could see that, because they kind of were like, well, there's, we don't really know what's on the other side of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, okay, there's going to be another book where they travel there.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel like there will be, but because it was her debut, she had to wrap it up. But there's maybe some loose ties that like she could expand it if they offered her to, but sure. That's what they say for debuts, like can't pitch a series, so that's why I feel like it was kind of more neatly like wrapped up
Yeah.
just in case, but I feel like she maybe could expand it.
Yeah, because I was like, the way it ended the last chapter before the epilogue, I was thinking, okay, we'll probably get a series. This will probably be a series. And then I read the epilogue, and it's like 3 years later, and they're ambassadors, and this is happening and that. And I'm like, okay, so maybe it's wrapping up, and this will be a standalone. But and then the very end, when they showed the map and how she was like, will you explore it with me? And I was like, okay, so maybe there's a possibility of another one in the future. So we'll see.
There has to
Maybe.
be. Well, I'm glad that we were able to chat about Dauntless. I think we had a really good discussion, and I'm like, I enjoyed the audiobook not as much as I wanted to, so now I'm really like itching to read the physical book to see how much more I can enjoy it. So thank you everyone, to my lovely co-hosts and those in the comments, for joining us for our discussion. Please join us for November's discussion of our October book of the month, which is, and I do have the physical copy because I pre-ordered this, The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I've got some tabs already. I'm reading the physical book this time. I learned my lesson, at least that I need to start reading it. And if things don't work out, move to the audiobook because, yeah. But if you're into spooky reads, check it out. It's like a homage to Carrie by Stephen King. So good spooky read. Thanks, Teresa. I'm so glad you were able to make it. And thank you, Avian. We'll check out and join the Diversity Lit Book Club. Oh, thank you.
Yay.
Looking forward to seeing you guys next month. And let me see. Let me quickly look at them. Okay, the 5th. Okay, maybe the 6th. Okay, so we try to do it like the first weekend of the month. As you can see, sometimes we do it the second weekend. So it will either be the first or second weekend of the month. So be on the lookout. Thank you for joining, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.